Afternoon. Afternoon, everybody. Hope you are all well. Welcome to the US Open Scan. And I'm in a few trades, which is not like me. I was just saying on the Discord now, like I feel like I'm taking a trade every day, which is definitely not like me. But two of them are going pretty well, and one of them I've just entered. I'll go into that as I go on. But we start as we always start, which is the index and the dollar. So, dollar index today, we're getting what we want and kind of getting what we thought. Not from a trading perspective. I was looking for this to come back a little bit more before a potential break to the upside again from a personal trading perspective. Hey, Rohit, mate, hope you're doing well. But we didn't get that. We did get a break above. We had a little fake potentially to the upside. I saw this and I thought, well, what's going to happen after? But we have got that push through now. So with a little bit of price acceptance here, a decent hammer candle, a decent rejection of that recent anchor, or let's say this channel anchor here, and now we are pushing on. So we will have a little bit of possible resistance at this area right now. You know, we've got this 200, we've got this 20 on the daily, which may pose a little bit of dynamic resistance to price. However, if we're looking at this as corrective over, then we're expecting to see this market push to the upside. I think there may be, and I could be completely wrong here on US Open, where the markets could push from here, but I think we may get some sort of resistance and possibly some sort of reaction. We could get a proper retest of this area before movement to the upside. But ultimately for me, it's looking pretty good, and I think that movement to the upside in the stock market continues. So I haven't gone full-blown risk on yet. I don't think it's full-blown risk on. I would like to see a proper break above here. We still can't discount a possible complex before we continue to the upside. But with how it's looking now, I do like it. I do like it, and maybe a good time to put some money investment-wise into the stock market, again, from a longer-term perspective. So SPLX looks okay, and my bias is that it rises. Dollar. The dollar is interesting because even though we have come from this decent move to the upside, right? We got which was actually a naked Forex setup on the daily, coming on high volume. So certainly some rejection around this roughly 101, whatever it is, handle. Now, the 4-hour doesn't look great, okay? This price action here, certainly from this area, doesn't look great. So if I'm thinking, and I know we've had this before where price action hasn't looked nice, but it's rallied, right? Here, price action is not very nice, it's rallied. Price action is not very nice. I wouldn't be surprised if this rallied. But I'm getting no indication, there's no clear indication from the market yet that wants to happen. You know, down here we had our 200, we had a bit of a hammer bar here on increased volume, okay? There's just possible indication it wanted to move. We had this bar here from this impulsive drop, which may have come into a complex, but it didn't. But there's a reason to enter there, right? And where we are now, okay, fair enough, we're getting some bullish sentiment here, but the bar preceding it is obviously a quite significant bearish bar. I know we're getting increasing volume on it, on this particular one, but again, from a price action point of view, nothing is telling me to buy the dollar just yet. If we move down to smaller time frames, again, you can kind of see it a little bit climactic here, a little bit of strength to this. So there's two ways to look at it. Where there is strength, we could possibly get a complex corrective. We could continue with this trend, or we could push up because, you know, we have some strength here. I just think it's a little bit difficult to predict this dollar right now. So I would wait for US to open up and let the market tell you the direction rather than predicting. If you get a decent close on the daily, maybe it will be possibly corrective over. I would just prefer, you know, if we do close quite nicely, I would prefer something like this, a little bit more to digest this impulse. So, you know, be aware that there could be a deeper dollar pullback here. Doesn't mean the dollar has to be short. Again, just from a pullback perspective before continuation. Remember, this dollar does like the 50. So if we take a fib on it from here, you know, there's no reason why this dollar can't come back and retest roughly around this 50 fib before continuing to the upside. So if you've got any setups buying the dollar, I would just be a little bit wary at the moment, but wait for some real confirmation. Possibly a break above this area might be good as well. So if we're considering this our anchor to our corrective, which it is, right, a break above this area would be quite bullish for this dollar. But let's see. Let's see. I'm not going to predict that now. I'll sit myself on the fence and see what happens. Okay, positions today. So as I said, I'm in 3 positions. The first of which is EURUSD, which I took a little bit of time ago. This stop is moved. We've taken TP1 here. So it's a risk-free trade. This is a typical of the euro, right? This bar is certainly typical of the euro. I wouldn't be surprised if this is sold into, but you know, if it does come up and hit my stop, then you know, whatever, that's fine. I'll take 1% on that particular trade. I just feel that the euro has been sold into quite a lot of times. It's done this, but it doesn't mean that it can't do this. You know, possibly take out stops, take out my stop, and then continue to the downside. So EURUSD I'm in. Whatever is going to be, will be. I still like that trade. We're still going with the trend. And yeah, as I said, smaller time frames, this 200 is starting to come underneath my stop. So again, dynamic resistance to price, which is nice. And basically looking at this to fall off. That's what I want. You know, because it has done many times, just kind of fallen off in any push. But maybe this time it won't. I'm in the 225, the JP 225, which I took yesterday, which is very close to TP1. It hasn't hit TP1 yet. These are frustrating. Actually, that's the wrong thing to say. These aren't frustrating. It's just not there yet. But it looks pretty good, right? So as soon as this hits TP1, again, for me, psychologically, it's just like, okay, I can't lose any money on that trade. I'm perfectly happy with that. Decent setup, head and shoulders, good, a little bit of accumulation before the move to the upside, and now we're motoring on. So if we had, and if I had a better risk reward on this, which I didn't, then I would have taken TP1 away. Okay, so if I managed to get my stop down here, which there was no anchor or anything for me to do that, then it would have been a little bit better. But because my latest anchor was here, and because my stop's quite large, this is the times where I definitely do take TP1. The only difference and the only thing that would change that is if we possibly get a slight pullback in here, you know, if we get a slight pullback in here, possibly over the US, over Asia, and I wake up over London. Hey, Alfie, how you doing, buddy? I wake up over London and it starts to push on, then I would look at it and say, well, do you know what? This is pretty healthy. I might take TP1 off and can let it run as much as it wants to run. So it's a good trade. I would like it today to hit TP1 because, as I said, psychologically, I do like TP1s. It just takes that pressure away, and it's certainly very close. And the one I've just entered right now is Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD, I've just taken a short. We'll go to the higher time frames first because I always look at higher time frame confluence. From a daily perspective, I personally was looking at this. Head and shoulders here. Didn't look great for continuation to the upside from price action here. So, again, that's good for me. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see yesterday's bar is a very simple inverted hammer, right? And recent price action right now is movement on a downtrend. So going with that trend makes sense to me. And ironically, the CAD seems to be working quite well for me. Again, if we go down to the weekly or go up to the weekly, look at this. You know, simple price action here. We've had an impulse. I don't really like this price action here, right? We got an inverted hammer. We're now underneath this 200. And using simple things like this gives me that higher time frame confluence for potential shorts. Setups come on the 1 hour chart. We've got our break of B wave here. So if we're considering this our complex corrective, this is a key area for me. So A, B, C, right? Creating our first structure, our cup structure, cut with handle, first structure, second structure, breakthrough, steady state retest, back to that 20. And we've got our engulfing candle here. If I zoom in, our engulfing candle here, Marabuzzo, coming on, increasing volume at that 20, at that previous resistance, becoming potentially old support, taking this to the downside. So again, for my stop, I used to put my stop here a little bit tight, but now I use the previous swing, so I've given that trade a little bit of room to move to hopefully move to the downside. TP1 down there. And if I can get in the position where 225 hits my TP1, this potentially hits my TP1, I've got 3 trades and 3% running risk-free to do whatever it wants to do. So I like this setup. And hopefully Aussie CAD moves to the downside. Although hope and prayer is not a trading strategy. So those are the 3 I'm in. And I do like them. I do like them. I'm up to, on this StockNet Institute account, running about 190. Remember, this doesn't really matter. What we're really focusing on is balance. But my equity is 275, which is 2.75% at this current time. So my goal, obviously, is getting to that 11,000 mark. So I can scale it up to 20 and continue. So it's quite important. I was thinking about this today. It's quite important if you are interested in this StockNet Institute, right? That if you get off and you get, let's say you get your 10%. Okay, let me just do the numbers here, right? So we start with a $10,000 account, right? And we get our 10% to 11. This is probably the most important part, your start, because after you get to 11, you tell them, right, I want to scale up my account to 20, but you keep your $1,000 in, right? So you end up scaling up to 20, but you're on 21,000. Now, you still have to get 10%. That $1,000 is not included in that 10%. But what it does do is with that 8% max drawdown, it obviously increases that because you've got an extra $1,000 in your account. So it gives you an added, what's that, 200, 2468, a couple of trades anyway. I'm pretty bad at maths, but a couple of trades is a buffer to that 8%, right? So this is why keeping a buffer on any kind of funded challenges you do is so important, right? And let's say we do it again. We do our 10% because remember, there's no pressure now. We've got that buffer. We do our 10%. We move up to 40K, but we keep the extra 2,000, which will be a $3,000 profit in our account. So we're actually on 43,000. So we're close to a 10% or whatever it is in terms of percentage buffer on that additional 8%. And that's where trading's easy. You know, we don't have to worry about losing the account. This is why keeping that buffer is so important. And that's my plan. So yeah, I was thinking about today, and I think the first stage is probably the most important, certainly with any kind of challenge, but looks pretty good so far. Looks pretty good. Okay, watch this today. These have gone. These two EA and UK 100 have gone. So Pound USD and USD CAD are the only ones I'm looking at. I will look at Euro NZD, Rohit, no problem. So Pound USD, getting a little bit of a reaction here in terms of an aggressive entry, my new strategy. Not getting anything here, but I'm looking for price to come down on this 4-hour chart. Again, completing this large structure, which I really like. Going with that longer term trend. Trend is your friend for a potential breakout. So coming down, tagging this area, accumulation or a slight reload, breakout to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for on Pound USD. Probably not a trade for this week, but potentially for next week. I wouldn't be surprised if this pushed though. I wouldn't be surprised if this push, if the dollar decides to weaken off, and that's fine. You know, I'm absolutely happy with that. I just don't trade it. So remember, when I'm talking about it, this doesn't mean this is what I think is going to happen. This is just what I want to happen. So if it doesn't happen, that's fine. I bugger off. I move on to the next trade. Doesn't, you know, no skin off my back. And finally, USD CAD. USD CAD. So USD CAD, I don't want to break. From a 4-hour perspective, I think Rohit, you were probably here. I was looking at a break of this area. Didn't quite give me it, and just smashed through that barrier. So I've got to look at it from a daily perspective. And I think we were talking about this yesterday. I don't want this to break yet. Okay, so it's quite good that we've had a slight fake to the downside. So I don't mind that. All I'm looking for now, which will take a few days, is this 20-period catch-up. Because again, remember, as breakout traders, we don't want to take breaks coming from relatively deep. That's often where, I mean, look at this, for example. Taking breaks from relatively deep, what happens? You know, we fake out and move back to the upside. We want to get breakouts at the right time, i.e. ready to move. So we're looking for that accumulation, you know, or possibly a slight reload, because you got to think about from the daily and 4-hour, where have we come from? So we want to make trends healthy, right? We don't want to be selling down here. We want to be selling, you know, as if you're a pullback trader, you want to be selling up here. But for me as a breakout, I want to be selling when trends are healthy, not down here. You know, we want to be selling. Can I find an example? There's no examples there. But essentially, we want it to come down, slight pullback, so we get a decent risk reward. We can then potentially look at it in the 4-hour chart as well. But I need that catch up. I need that accumulation, that load up positions to hopefully take this pair to the downside. So USD CAD is another one I do like that I do not want to break just yet. Okay, Euro NZD, Rohit, Euro NZD. 11 people. Good to see more people coming back. I appreciate it. Yeah, Euro NZD, I was looking at this as a break. I cannot take it now. Okay, there is confluence here with the daily. Okay, because I don't like this type of price action. Absolutely despise it. Certainly for downside, i.e. selling it, because I look at this as a loss of momentum. And what we've got with the loss of momentum, we've kind of got our head and shoulders here. Decent bar, accumulation on the daily chart. Actually, is that a setup? No, it's not. It's not quite a setup. It would need to tag this area. It would need to make it a little bit more cleaner for me, to be honest with you. Which way are you looking, Rohit? Are you looking long or are you looking short? I presume you're going to be looking long, but I could be wrong. Sam, oh, Pikachu. Bye, Pikachu. Glad to finally catch one of your streams live. I appreciate that, Sam. Only watched a few up till now, but feel like I've learnt loads. I appreciate that, mate. Join your Discord soon. Yep, absolutely. 7 days free. Just by the way, Pikachu he's a scammer that came in a few times ago. Doesn't know anything about me and just gave me shit, basically. So he can bugger off. You're looking long. Yeah. I mean, decent bar there, right? Decent bar there. Possibly in the retesting phase. Whether I trust the euro, it's whether I trust it, you know. Yeah, no worries, Tabonga. No worries, mate. You know, possibly if you get a reason to enter somewhere here, i.e. the market telling you it wants to move to the upside, I would agree that that is certainly worth a trade. I just worry that the euro does what the euro likes to do and does that, right? Because it's done that time and time again. Doesn't mean it has to do it now, but I would be waiting for a reason to enter, right? You could get that on this retest phase now, potentially, if I move this here, right? You could get that somewhere here, possibly on a 20 catch-up, maybe on smaller time frames. But I think there is enough there for a long trade, Rohit. I just worry about that euro. I just worry about it. But as I said, I don't think it's a bad idea. Don't think it's a bad idea at all. You're above these moving averages now. So, yeah, my advice would be waiting for a reason to enter. Waiting for a reason to enter. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Anything else? Only problem with fundamental euros we had. The euro's been weak. The euro's been weak. But as I said, with this chart, and the Kiwi's kind of coming off a little bit, with this chart, there is a reason to go long. You know, there is a reason to go long. But will it be sold into? That's the thing. Will it be sold into, as the euro has done a few times? So if we look back at EuroCAD, I just have an inkling that this is going to be sold into, but I could be completely wrong with that. I could be completely wrong. Good thing is it's risk-free, so it can do whatever it wants, right? I just want, if I can get a nice TP1 over the US session here, with how close it is, that would be lovely. But it might do one of these things. If I get it possibly up to here, and maybe we're 1 or 2 pips away, I might just take it because of the extent of this, you know, stop loss. So we're considering, for the sake of like, what, a dollar, if it looks as if it's coming off, again, I might just take it out. But then this usually moves better, obviously, over the Asian session, in which I'm asleep for. And ultimately, it still looks nice. We've got to think about the longer picture. Leon, welcome, buddy. Could you please look at pound yen? Yeah, I'll have a look at pound yen. I will have a look at pound yen. These yen pairs, Leon, you know, for me, I don't know whether you're looking long or short. Let me know what your idea is, so I can kind of understand where your head is, because everybody sees the market in a different way. I can't get on board, and I was wrong down here, right? I said I couldn't long this up here, and I stick to that bias. even though it's pushed to the upside. You know, this weakness in the yen has been pretty surprising to me. I just can't bring myself to buy it. I can't. And when the fact that the stock market looks okay, technically this should continue to push, right? Yeah, I agree, Leon. But I think it was. I mean, it was overextended here. I don't think this pullback was enough. But it seems to be just pushing on. You know, I'm not even looking at the yen pairs when I do my scan right now because I need them to pull back from a daily perspective, right? But everything apart from the daily looks nice. I mean, look at this on the 4 hour. That's kind of a trend trader's paradise, right? Look at that. That's just a beautiful trend. You know, unfortunately, I didn't get involved in it, but it's a really nice trend, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to the upside. I can't. Yeah, I would wait for a bigger pullback for me, but you know, there's people making money on these decent moves, right? You could be getting your complex corrective on the smaller time frames on the 4 hour, back to that 20. I mean, this is why I like the 20. Look at price action. Simple thing like the 20, it pulls back a lot of times to around there, and it might be doing the exact same thing and continue. That's a great example of why I love this 20 period SMA. So simple. You know, I went so far away from it to come back to a simple 20 and a simple 200. But yeah, I agree with you, Leon. I think waiting for a little pullback is probably your best bet. So I mean, we look at anyone. I mean, look at CAD yen. I can't get involved in it. You know, you kind of want to be buying it down here, but anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if it moved. Wouldn't be surprised if it moved. And as long as Aussie CAD comes down, hey, I don't give a shit, right? I don't give a shit. Right, guys, anything else you want me to look at before I go and have my dinner? Just went to the gym. My body is aching, trying to get back into it. If you haven't liked the stream, hit that like button. It would be appreciated. If you want to join the community, it's up there. Link is in the chat somewhere. 7 days free and all that jazz. We give away every NFP, if you don't know this, if you are new, we give away a 50K FTMO. We give away $200. So if you're interested, there is the link. No worries, David. No worries, mate. No worries, Rohit. I'll see you. I won't be streaming tomorrow. I'm playing golf. I'll see you back on Monday. Same time, same place, and we'll do it again, right? Trade safe. Peace.